I'm your host, Annie Bowles, and this is News du Jour. Hey, you guys, happy Friday and welcome back to the News du Jour. So today is the last episode before my maternity leave, and I have all kinds of feelings about it. There's a lot going on behind the scenes in my life right now. Baby showers and trying to get everything ready for this little life that we're creating, who's almost here, but it's just time to downshift and prioritize my health. Unfortunately, I'm doing that a little bit earlier than I was wanting to, but I'm also super grateful to have the ability to press pause when I need to. And so, anywho, you can follow along on all of my journey with the baby and everything we're doing there on social media. I probably will be less active than I usually am, but that said, I will definitely keep that updated to a certain extent. So I hope you'll follow along there. And without further ado, we can get into today's news, which will all be about Ukraine. So first up, Biden asks Congress for more aid to Ukraine. A lot more. So Biden just asked Congress for $33 billion more. $33 billion more for Ukraine. This money would provide for a lot of really important things like humanitarian aid and measures to address the food shortage, etc. But that's still a ton of spending because we've already spent quite a bit in the billions, and we'll see if he can get it past the congressional gatekeepers. Obviously, Ukraine is really a cause that we can all get behind. It seems like all Americans are pretty much all on the same page for the most part. So, it's something we all believe in, but how to go about it is, of course, what is up for debate, and conservative members of Congress may question that price tag. Next up, I did want to go ahead and issue a content warning because this story touches on sexual assault. Amal Clooney is speaking out about Ukraine at the United Nations. So Amal actually referred to the situation in Ukraine as a, quote, slaughterhouse in the heart of Europe, end quote. And if we're talking about Mariupol specifically, and, maybe a handful of other areas in Ukraine, then she is certainly correct. She has stepped up as part of this legal task force that's helping Ukraine explore its legal options. She also emphasized that rape has been a rampant part of this war, with the Ukrainian teenage girls being raped in front of their families in a lot of cases. She also made claims that Ukrainian children are actually being forcibly transported out of Ukraine into Russia. So I don't know much about that. I'm not sure if she was meaning, the young men who are being taken to fight on behalf of Russia, because of course we've covered that, but I hadn't heard of small children being transported to Russia. So that would be something new to me, but very disturbing nonetheless, regardless of which option it is. There's still a lot of international laws being broken in the midst of this conflict, no matter how you slice and dice it. The UN Secretary General actually went and visited the town of Bucha this past Thursday, where many of the worst atrocities we've heard about have occurred. If you guys remember, that's that suburb of Kiev that once the Russians backed off of Kiev, people were able to go to Bucha and actually figure out what happened there, and it was horrifying. So there may be other Buchas. When we first covered it, this is what I said, but there may be other places where just as horrific things are happening. We just don't know about it yet. So it appears the UN, though, is already looking into what has gone down and is trying to document what they can. But we'll likely not know the full extent of what went down in Ukraine for years to come. And then I had to touch on this story. So we actually covered a little bit about this when it was first happening, but now more information is coming out about it. And so I had to share it again. Villagers flooded their own town in order to help save Kiev. So remember how we talked about flooding as a form of warfare a while ago? This was kind of more towards the beginning of the war. Well, it turns out it was on purpose. It was an intentional act to kind of keep Russians out of Kiev. And long story short, this is a method of warfare that has been used for centuries. I think sometimes it's referred to as biological warfare, where you can cause sort of a biological event to happen that keeps foreign troops from invading. And residents made this decision to flood their own town to save their capital city. Homes were flooded, soggy floors, streets that look more like canals. These were a small price to pay in exchange for the lives of their loved ones and protecting their country from a complete Russian takeover. Because, of course, if the Russians had taken Kiev, Ukraine might be flying a Russian flag right now. So, measures like this that were so brave and creative are what is really preventing the Russians from being able to win this war in a, one fell swoop. What they did was open a dam, and then they sent the water gushing into the flatlands of the town. And this country has actually opted to destroy other key infrastructure pieces, like over 300 bridges and even some roads, in order to prevent easy travel for the Russians and for all their machinery. They're getting crafty over in Ukraine and kind of doing more with less because they have financial constraints when it comes to this war. But they're doing a great job, and hopefully, more funds are on the way, whether it's from us or from the UN or other nations. We're all kind of rallying behind this country in their time of need. And that's great to see. And that, for the time being, you guys, is the news du jour. And I wanted to remind you, we'll be back in late August, early September, and there will be more details coming out about that. Whenever I announce the special series we're going to be running soon, I will go ahead and include specific dates that we will be back, and I will post that to our social media as well. So stay tuned for that. And today I wanted to leave you guys with the quote: "How lucky am I to have something so special, it makes saying goodbye so hard." If you enjoyed this episode, please consider becoming a patron of our podcast. For $7.99 a month, you can unlock tons of perks like breaking news text messages so that you're never out of the loop. Tons of bonus episodes are already up there ready for you to binge, and a discussion board full of networking opportunities and much more. Go to www.patreon.com/sugarfree media today to become a patron. This is the best way to support our show. Our patrons make News du Jour possible. But a couple other ways to support our podcast are rate and review on whatever podcast platform you use to listen, share on your social media, you have influence, tell your friends, family, and colleagues that you love News du Jour and why you listen. You can also follow us on social media under sugarfreemedia.co on Instagram, just sugarfreemedia, all one word, on TikTok, and sugarfree_media on Twitter. We also have a weekend newsletter called Dreamers Digest that's full of dreamy content recommendations for your weekend and a life update from yours truly. Sign up today on our website, www.sugarfreemedia.co. Our music is by Joey Lavoie and Nicholas Foster. Our cover art is by Hannah Pierce Photography. Our Sugar Free Media logo is by Catherine Jezik Designs. Any twinkling or little footsteps you might hear in the background are by my dog, Rhett. He's a rescue pup and always records with me. We appreciate you listening and look forward to telling you about the news again next time on News du Jour.
Broadcasting from Oklahoma.